Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to our regular meeting. I will now call the meeting to order. The agenda is there before you. Can I have a motion to approve, please? Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion? All those in favour, those against, motion is carried. Minutes of the meeting from September 19th. Are there any errors or omissions? No, all good. Business arising. We have one motion there, and I will refer that to Councillor Windsor. It's regarding the dissolution of the Operational Review Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the Operational Committee has completed its required activities. The mandate has been completed, and Mr. Curran's report has been accepted. So the motion here before you is to dissolve the committee formally, right? So I'll read that. The Operation Review Committee was formed as a special committee for the purposes of completing an organizational operation review. The goals and objectives have been completed. Therefore, be it resolved that the Operation Review Committee now be dissolved. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Windsor. Could I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion? And I just want to say before we dissolve the committee, great work by the committee and by all of council in general. We certainly had a great report. We are now divulging into the details of the report. As I said, I believe the last meeting, some items have been ongoing during the report, and there's items there that will continue to move forward over the next little while. But overall, from what I've heard from residents in the community, they were satisfied with the layout of the operational review, the comprehensive details of it. I don't think Mr. Curran left a stone unturned. Some may agree with some things, some may disagree, but it was his findings and it was the people's report. It's what we heard from our residents. So we will be actively, even though the committee will be dissolved after tonight, the work of the operational review will continue on. So the motion has been moved and seconded, and before I conclude, I just want to thank the members of the operational review committee, Councillor Windsor, Councillor Bruce King, Councillor Buckle, and I was served on the committee as well. So a lot of meetings, a lot of putting things together, but things flowed along, and overall I'm confident saying that council is satisfied with the report. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hands. Those against, motion is carried. And now we'll move on to the mayor's update. I have one item here, folks, but it's a heartfelt statement that I want to read out on your behalf. While we just recognized Remembrance Day, I think we also need to recognize and pray for the brutal ongoing conflicts between Ukraine and Russia and Israel and Gaza. Just yesterday, it was heart-wrenching to see television footage of hundreds of innocent, injured victims lying in the hallways at hospitals with no electricity, water, or medical capabilities for doctors and nurses to perform surgeries and provide basic medical care. It was extremely disturbing to see multiple newborn babies lying in the hallways, with staff left totally helpless to provide care for these little infants, not even able to keep them warm and comfortable, only to wrap them in tin foil to try and keep them warm. Some of those newborns need further medical care to survive, but there's nothing doctors and nurses could do to help because they simply don't have any resources available. I saw a medical team striving to keep one of those newborn children alive and applying forced manual oxygen because there was no medical oxygen available. It was also horrifying to see family members, including children, dragged from their homes and taken hostage by Hamas militants, not knowing if they'll ever see their families again, or even worse, if they'll meet their dreaded fate. With the uncertain conflict ongoing between Russia and Ukraine, and the escalated situation occurring between Israel and Gaza, our world is in a state of total chaos. As a municipality in a free, democratic, and peaceful country, let us appreciate and be blessed that we can continue to enjoy our peace and freedom, to which we must never take for granted. And we thank our brave men and women in uniform for protecting and serving our country to ensure our democracy will never be put at risk. In trying to put all this global turmoil and strife into perspective, we have so much to be thankful for. Can we ever comprehend this cruelty and acts of inhumanity happening on our home soil here in Canada? It certainly leaves room for thought and reflection. Let us remember those innocent victims during this very scary, difficult, and traumatic time. And let us pray these ongoing conflicts will be resolved and that world peace will prevail. So I just wanted to share that message with you tonight. And I tell you, it was heart-wrenching to see that on television. Okay, there's no correspondence, so now we'll move on to planning and development. Deputy Mayor?
Good evening, everybody. The Planning and Development Committee, we met on November the 8th via Zoom with Councillor Steve Windsor, Krista Turnbull, Marjorie Gibbons, and myself in attendance. We had 5 applications which we reviewed. We have 4 on our agenda this evening. It was a rather quick meeting because the only thing other than the motions or the agenda items or applications that we received was we received some correspondence from the town of Portugal Cove St. Phillips with regards to proposed amendments, which is just something that municipalities send out to one another. We didn't have any issues with what they sent, so we sent back notification to them. And we've also looked at meeting with the town planner with regards to discussing the draft town plan, which we've set for December 7th. So hopefully that meeting will be a go. Other than that, that's all that we talked about at the meeting. Is there anything that you'd like to add, Councillor Windsor?
No, Deputy Mayor.
Okay. So let's move ahead with the motions. So first is our permits. Be it resolved to table and approve the attached permit listing. 7 permits were issued from October the 10th to November the 10th, 2023, and include permits for general repairs, accessory building, residential, driveway, and home base business. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Crowley. Further discussion? If not, all those in favour, those against, motion is carried.
The next motion is for 541 Conception Bay Highway. It's a residential proposal. The zoning is RMD. Be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? All those in favor? Those against? Motion is carried.
The next motion is for 13 Eagle Drive. It's a residential application in RMD zone. Be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion? So that's
They're just,
straightforward.
these ones are just straightforward, yeah, residential bills.
Okay, all those in favor? Those against? Motion is carried.
The next motion is for 9 to 17 Lewis Road. The proposal is a residential home, a garage for farm equipment and farm gate sales, and 4 rental chalets or small pods. The zoning is PDA. Be it resolved that after considering the policies expressed in the municipal plan and development regulations regarding the planned development area land use zone, we have determined that the development application for 9 to 17 Lewis Road is contrary to the Town of Holyrood's development regulations and municipal plan. It is recommended that the application be refused as the planned development area zone prevents development until comprehensive planning has been carried out, along with an amendment to the town's regulations. During the town plan review, no amendments are being considered at that time. So moved.
Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion?
Is there any timelines there, Deputy Mayor, when this is going to get?
That's an application that came in for that area, which is PDA, which doesn't meet the regulations, but we are looking at the zoning in the town plan review. So really, we don't want to move forward with anything until we got the draft. So until we get that looked at, and really until it all goes through, that we're not going to look at that area or any applications for that area at this time. Unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? If not, all those in favor to reject the application? Approved.
The next motion is for 394B Conception Bay Highway. The proposal is for an animal grooming business and its town centre. Be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood has received an application to relocate an existing business from 37 Salmoneer Line to 394B Conception Bay Highway. The business has been in operation for 12 years in a residential zone. It is determined that animal grooming is neither a permitted use or discretionary use in a town centre. In considering this application, the committee took into account the policies expressed in the municipal plan and regulations, assessed the development in the area, the amenity of surroundings and other matters, and understands that this business would not cause any adverse effects in this commercial location, and exercising its discretion provided under regulation of the development regulations, it is recommended that the application be approved. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Crawley. Further discussion?
Well, that application, as it states, was an existing business, and it wanted to move to the town center. The applicant gave us some information as for how many parking spaces. That was the number one issue that we were looking at, how many parking spaces that were available in that area. And there's an existing business in that building. So I think we're bringing this in under Regulation 10. Am I right in saying that? Yes, correct. Yeah, because it's not listed as discretionary use. It's not listed, period, for the town center. But we felt that it kind of coincides with the existing businesses that already exist in the town center. So that's why we're bringing it and requesting approval under Regulation 10.
Okay. All right, any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is approved.
And that is it for planning and development.
Okay,
Mayor,
thank
thank
you
you.
very much, Deputy Mayor. And now we'll move on to recreation and community events. Before Councillor King gives her update, I was remiss under the Mayor's update to advise Council and the general public that our Director of Recreation and Community Events, Steve Martin, will be on a leave of absence effective December the 8th for a 6-month period. Okay, any questions on that? Okay. Councillor King, you're up.
I don't have much of an update this evening because we didn't have our meeting. Just 2 things on the list this evening. Remind people the Santa Claus Parade will take place on December the 2nd, starting at dusk at 2 o'clock and proceeding on to the Star of the Sea. The other is the lighting of the park, and that will take place on December the 4th at 6:30 in the evening. And just to remind people that these are things that are really great, and they should get out and support us with these by coming out. And the flyer with all our Christmas activities will be out early next week. That's it.
And in advance of the preparation for the lighting of the park, I just want to send out a thank you to our Public Works crew who spend a lot of time there. A lot of lights got to go up. They do a phenomenal job, and often in very difficult, cold, snowy weather. And so I'm sure that they will do a phenomenal job as they have done for the last several years, because our park looks absolutely phenomenal. And hopefully we'll have the large turnout as we did last year, because I think the park was pretty well full. So again, fingers and toes crossed that the weather will be on our side that night, because I believe last year there was no wind, it was a bit cool, and just a few flakes falling. What a beautiful atmosphere at that venue. Okay, thank you very much, Councillor King. And now we'll move on to infrastructure and public works. So we have Councillor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief from me tonight. We had to take down our scheduled committee meeting due to operational priorities. Okay, but I'll make up for it next public council meeting with a lengthy update for it as well. Right, that's right. But we do have an important motion here, which I'll read. It may trigger some memories for you and past discussions around the emergency water supply tie-in, right? And this is about the award. It's a motion for the actual award following the tender document review and awarding to the lowest qualified bidder. Okay, and I'll read the motion. Seminary Line Emergency Water Supply. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood approve the award of the contract for the construction of Seminary Line Emergency Water Supply Project identified by number 17-MYCW-22000046 to Mars Contracting Limited based on their tender submission of October 19th, 2023 in the amount of $771,369.40, including 15% HST. Just give me a second, guys. I should have had a drink of water. I got something caught in my throat, so bear with me. The prime consultant for this project, Englobe, issued the tender on behalf of the Town of Holyrood and received 9 responses. Mars were the lowest bidders and were able to provide the required documents, including insurance bonds, WHSCC clearance letter and COR letter. The Town of Holyrood received approval to award this tender from the Department of Transportation Infrastructure and Municipal Infrastructure on October 24th, and therefore we are prepared to issue the award letter. The actual construction of the project will begin in spring of 2024. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Windsor. There's your water. Could I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion?
We all knew it was coming.
So just to clarify, it says here emergency water supply. That was at the beginning of the whole process. but that has since changed because it will be our water supply, correct, Madam CAO? Correct. So it's not actually an emergency water supply, but that is the title that's on the documentation going way
That's
back
how
when.
it all started.
That's how it all started.
That's right.
Correct.
Good
Yep.
clarification, for sure.
Okay, any questions or comments on that? If not, all those in favor, motion is carried. So that's it, Councillor Windsor?
That's it. Good thing I never had to do a long update.
You need a lot of water.
But the voice failed me.
We will expect that at the next meeting, I'm sure.
I'll make up for it.
Okay, thank you. And now we'll move on to Business Development and Marketing. Deputy Mayor.
Good evening again, everybody. On November the 6th, our Business Development and Marketing Committee met with everyone in attendance, our mayor, our CAO, and myself. There's just a brief update as well for us. We have several files that are on the go, but nothing to really bring to public awareness right now. We did receive one inquiry from an individual here on Holyrood regarding a home-based business, and an application was passed along to them to complete and submit. The Marine Institute, we're still trying to get a meeting with them. It's just logistics for us and them to get together regarding the Memorandum of Understanding. We do have a copy of what they presented. There are several additions or changes that we would like to include in that. And they want all of us to meet together as a group in person to kind of iron that out, to get that Memorandum of Understanding completed. And so hopefully it will be sometime before the end of November that we're able to do that. We did have another session, a business session on November the 9th for our business community. It was at the IBEW building, and it was regarding staffing for small businesses. As you're all aware, there's staffing shortages and employee issues all across this town, this province, this country, and it was a great session to have, to kind of let our business community know what is in place, that our provincial government has in place. So the Association of New Canadians attended, and they do have a program where it's an online program that they can match up employers with potential new Canadians. They put up their resume, and employers can do a profile and match people up. The same thing with the Department of Industry, Energy and Technology. They have a new program now for Ukrainians. That they can submit their resumes as well. Potential employers can create a profile, and they can match up, or I can reach out to them, they could reach out to me. That's how it works. And then move forward with the interview process and hopefully the hiring process. There's also another provincial program that we should let everybody know about, and it's Jobs NL. And there's lots of opportunities there for the same purpose, for business owners to be able to upload their profile, set up a profile, put in their job description, and then match up with potential employees there. And that's for everybody, and whoever wants to do it, right? Wants to do a profile. And if anyone wants any of that information, they can certainly drop into the building here, that we do have some information available for those staffing programs, and or they can send an email in to our info email or our CAO's email, and we can get that information out to them. I think that's it for us. Like I said, there's a couple of other files there, but nothing that is in the final stages or the recommendation stage right now. And that's it for business development and marketing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Any questions or comments? No? Okay, we'll move on now to public safety. Councillor King, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. and I'll probably end up eating up all of Councillor Windsor's and the Deputy Mayor's time. No, just kidding. We had our Public Safety Committee meeting on November the 7th. Those people in attendance were the Mayor, the Fire Chief, Chief Woodford, our CAO, Marjorie Gibbons, and myself, and Councillor Buckle sent his regrets. Sorry, in the military too long. Some of the things that we discussed. The first one being the Brigus Junction Fire Service update, and what I'm going to do is just read this verbatim because I don't want to miss anything. Okay, the CAO and the Fire Chief met with the Brigus Junction representatives on Monday, November 6th, 2023, to discuss the potential agreement, next steps, and draft document review. Brigus Junction has been informed to provide the Holyrood Fire Department with maps of the area, identifying water sources, which is a big one when you're fighting fires, and ensuring that civic addresses are installed on all the structures and the roads are all properly marked for obvious reasons. Fire Chief Woodford is to complete a visit in the area and confirm mapping accuracy once the Brigus Junction Committee provides the maps. The fees for the first year in line with response in other areas is at $50 for the first year, $10 increases each year after that for at least 3 years, and the contract is going to last for just 1 year. Okay. The collaboration grant. The collaboration grant has gone in. Our CAO has put all the details in, the letters, and hopefully we will be successful. And as I get farther down, it only reinforces the reasons why we actually need a better training facility for the fire department. Okay, so hopefully we will be successful, and we'll see on that one. The fire department rescue vehicle, there is a motion, so I'm not going to spend any time on it because most of the stuff that's in here is in the motion, so it's just saying the same thing twice. The other point that we discussed in great detail was the cell service here in the Holyrood area. And to be perfectly honest, the cell service here right now sucks, right? It's getting worse instead of better. We had people in, I know the mayor, we had people in, we discussed it, and it seems to be getting worse instead of getting better, okay? And I'm sure there's probably nobody in this room right now that has not had experience with it. I know I did about 2 weeks ago. My mother lives out in Carbonear, and 3 times I tried to speak to her, and I was talking, and there was nobody on the other end. Okay, so it's not getting any better. It's, you know, in this day and age, you shouldn't have to be standing next to the window with a wire coat hanger in one hand and the cat in the other in order to get cell phone service. It's just, you know, I don't know, the mayor was talking about stuff going on in the Middle East. You know, it's beyond comprehension that you can fire a missile in North America, hit something in the Middle East, but not only hit the building, it can decide which window it's going in through. But we can't talk to people in Carbonear. It's just beyond comprehension for stuff like that. And I wanted to tie this one in with regards to public safety, because there was 83 medical calls, okay? And I just want to use 2 scenarios to explain and probably better reiterate these things. 83 medical calls in the Holyrood area. You know, can you imagine, you know, sitting in your house tonight, you know, watching the NTV evening news, especially if you and your husband or you and your wife or you and your better half or anybody else, and somebody had a medical emergency, whether it be a heart attack or a stroke or anything. Can you just imagine being on the phone, talking to the 911 operator, and just as you're about to tell the person where you live, the line goes dead, right? So there's 83 possibilities of that happening, right? And as even if you go to scenario number 2, imagine if you were home alone, which is a lot of people in Holyrood, they live by themselves, right? So imagine if you're home alone and you suffered a heart attack yourself, trying to get through to a 911 operator, and just as you're about to get through to him, the line goes dead, right? it sounds like it's far-fetched, but you know, there's 83 reasons there why this could happen, right? So that's why we need to, you know, involve the other communities here in Conception Bay Centre. We need to involve the MP. We need to involve the Minister of Communications, and I think the Mayor even mentioned the fact maybe we need to involve the CRTC as well, right? But it needs to be improved. We're paying top dollar for crappy service. That's basically what it boils down to, okay? We had, myself and Councillor King went to the MLL convention. I got a few other points at the other end, but one of the biggest things that came up there, when you sit around and talk to people, is climate change, and how climate change can affect your town's infrastructure, right? And everybody always keeps pointing back to Port-aux-Basques, right? And how fast, you know, things could fall apart. You know, you spent millions and millions and millions of dollars on water and sewer and everything else, and pavement and roads, and all of a sudden, within the space of an overnight period, all that stuff is washed out to sea and it's gone. Okay, so that's some of the things that we need to take into consideration. The fire department incident call volume, as of November 7th, for example, there was 83 medical calls. Okay, there was 34 motor vehicle accidents, then there was 25 alarms and 17 fire and fire-related issues and 9 for extra service. So we can see that the fire department here is becoming very busy. So having this training facility is very important. Also, having reliable communications is very important. It's very important for the fire department, and is even twice as important for the people that have to use it, right? Because anybody in this room could be in that same situation, you know, tomorrow or the next day. So it needs to be addressed. And the last one is with regards to the fire department recruiting. They had probably one of their best recruiting drives in the history of the Holyrood Fire Department. Okay, they had to turn people away, which is excellent, right? Not excellent to have them turn them away, but having excellent the fact that they had so many. So anyway, they accepted 7 new volunteer fire department members, and 2 of these members are come fully certified and trained and experienced firefighters. So that's another great, because now you don't have to spend all the money and all the time training these people. They're good to go. Okay, and I think that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Okay, Councillor King, you can stay on your feet because you have a motion there.
Change your mind. Actually, before I speak to the motion, or before I put the motion forward and I explain, this rescue vehicle, for example, okay? This rescue vehicle, when we get it, will extend the life of the pumpers. Because I talked to the fire chief today, those 83 medical emergencies and those other vehicle accidents, that would be the vehicle that would respond to those emergencies. So instead of having to haul the pumper out, and not only that, and we talked about it today, if there was a medical emergency, as an example, up on the Witless Bay line, well, that fire truck, when she comes out, she's got to make a left, she's got to go up all those hills to get to the Witless Bay line, right? Mm-hmm. And the fire chief said himself, so it's not me, that rescue vehicle will cut the time almost in half. So if the rescue vehicle and the pumper left the station at exactly the same time, the pumper would still be down the hill when the rescue vehicle is on the scene, right? So that will reduce and also reduce response time. It'll save lives because the fire department will be able to get there faster, and to be able to, there's some equipment that's still sitting in the fire hall because there's no vehicle to put that equipment in. So it's going to be a win-win-win for everybody. Okay? And now I will read the motion. Be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood place an order for the rescue vehicle for the Holyrood Fire Department based on the quote from Fort Garry fire trucks in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Fort Garry fire trucks can provide the required truck with the appropriate specifications for the rescue vehicle and has the earliest availability Best warranty available for the vehicle with a 20-year non-prorated aluminum body warranty and a 10-year non-prorated paint warranty. The chassis for the vehicle is available with an expected completion date of September 2024. The total cost for the vehicle, including taxes and delivery, is $317,517.30. The town has acquired $100,000 from the Department of Justice and Public Safety and will borrow the remaining funds. The cost of borrowing will be provided through fees from service contracts. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor King. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Further discussion? I'd just like to chime in and say that obviously, and Councillor King clearly articulated that a little while ago about a breakdown of the calls, the motor vehicle accidents and the medical calls. And the fire chief, and we've spoken about this at several public safety meetings, but the fire chief really applies sound reasoning, a lot of thought, and does his homework on how he wants to see the operation flowing in the fire department. And I do know firsthand, after being in the service, you know, a rescue can respond much quicker than trying to get a pumper up, you know, the big hill. Well, there's two big hills, one on Liam Hickey Drive and the other one up Fitch's Hill, especially in the winter conditions. So your rescue, it's there much quicker, and we all know that, as Councillor King alluded to, somebody ends up having a massive heart attack or a loved one happens to go into cardiac arrest. And I can honestly say, based on experience, that literally seconds count. Seconds count. And, you know, this is the first time ever in many, many years that the Holyrood Fire Department never had a proper rescue unit. We've had several over the years, but they were all they weren't proper rescue units. So now they're doing, you know, that they want to purchase the right piece of equipment, and there's no question about it that it will provide longevity for the pumpers because it'll keep them parked in on the floor, not having to navigate in weather conditions with the salt and everything on the roads in the winter. So it certainly will prolong their lifespan, and the rescue is certainly the vehicle for responding to the highway for motor vehicle accidents, fires. It pretty well responds to everything, but medical calls is the key because it will save a lot of time. So I'm certainly in full support of it, and I will say, if I may, that we did secure $100,000 in funding from the Department of Justice and Public Safety. Thank you very much to them. So it's our responsibility now to get the remaining amount. And in our discussion the other day at the public safety meeting, that funding will be provided due to the fees that are coming in, and now the additional fees that are coming in that will certainly pay the loan on that vehicle. So the funding is there, and now all we got to do is get this passed and let the chief go out and order his vehicle, because I'm sure the fire department will certainly be happy to have it, and it'll certainly prove beneficial to the residents of the community when needed. Okay, that's my take. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Those against, motion is carried. Thank you very much, Councillor King, for that update. Where are we to? Okay, Councillor Crowley, you're up. Communications update.
Communications did not have a chance to meet. We've been taking up communication times with extra CSA meetings, but we did want to thank the public, those who answered the call to our public consultation survey. And we have been reviewing the results within the CSA for those residents who participated. We had 16 responses altogether, which is low but still valid responses and valid input from our residents, more than our public access that we had people write in. So that was good. And we're going through, and for sure, when we meet again, communications, a large topic of conversation will be around the operational review recommendations on specifically communication and transparency and access to staff, council, and public. We do have continuing and ongoing discussions with the communications and self-service here, as public safety just mentioned. So it is still on our radar. We still are working our connections communication options there. So we'll revisit that when we meet again. But behind the scenes, we are still working on various options we have to help upgrade. One of the things, again, to note is that Bell is saying they are not receiving complaints from the public about these dropped calls. And if they're not receiving the complaints, they will not be logged, and they see no problem whatsoever. And I think one of the issues is people are becoming complacent with the problem and just kind of giving up because it's been ongoing for so long. But we do need to remain diligent and make sure that we are logging every dropped call and that we contact our service provider. For example, my service provider is not Bell, but they still use Bell Towers, Bell Communications, so it's very important that no matter who your provider is, you make that contact. And many of them have the option to dial quickly into 611 and you will reach someone. But it is important that we keep up on that. So unfortunately, to keep complaining about it on social media is not working. I would recommend tagging Bell Mobility and Bell Communications on all your social media platforms. So when all those communications come through and people are making complaints about dropped calls, on X, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, Facebook, every time it's mentioned, if you tag at Bell Communications and at Bell Mobility, they will see how much the issue is being raised here. So that's all for communications, unless Deputy Mayor or Councillor King would like to input.
I just want to say excellent response, because it's not something that we have that we've forgotten about with regards to the cell phone service. I experience it every day, like I'm sure most people do. But you know, our committee was tasked with dealing with it, and we're trying to put a plan in place on how we move forward. But Laura is right in saying that you know, we need the public to make those complaints, because if they're telling us that they're not receiving it, so you know, I know, like when you have the dropped call, well, then how can you make the complaint? Because you're in a dead zone. But wait to get to a service area and then make it for sure. Yeah. So that was excellent. Thank you.
Or for me, I have a home line still. I'm one of the dinosaurs to still have a home line, and I make the complaint calls from my home line, explaining that I have 5 cell phones in my house, and we're all having issues. So at least my call logs 5 at a time. So keep doing that.
Well, if I could chime in, first of all, I do not for a second believe that, you know, that's people calling in is going to get any results. I think they're using that as a way out. And as of this evening, that company is worth $49.35 billion. Now, when you turn on the television and you see all these commercials with Bell, looking for, giving all these packages, looking for more customers and everything else, you would think that they would upgrade the infrastructure to provide residents here in this area and in this province, because it's not just Holyrood. We know what's happening in Conception Bay South. We know what's happening over in Colliers. It's happening in the whole area. And as I said many meetings ago, if that was in Halifax somewhere, or a very densely populated area, they'd have that fixed in a heartbeat. So when you got a company that's worth $49.35 billion, I think that they have a responsibility to look after their customers, their existing customers first, before trying to get new business. They know what the solution is. I'm not naive. They know what it is. But we weren't on that 3-year cycle for that major infrastructure upgrade. And it was only because we had a meeting, I think Councillor Windsor was in on it, and Councillor Crowley with Miss Boulay from New Brunswick. She was on the line, and Mr. Green. And only for we challenged them on many fronts, they were prepared to shut us down right from the get-go. Am I correct, Councillor Windsor?
Oh, yeah.
Right? So they knew that we were taking this very serious. And Councillor King raised a very good point tonight. If you're in your home by yourself and you're experiencing a major heart attack, and all of a sudden you get cut off or drop call, that's serious stuff. And residents are paying the highest kind of rates with these companies, and they have an expectation and a responsibility to provide their customers with what they advertise. But in many cases, they're not. And as I said many times before, I'd be talking to the deputy mayor, looking at her home across the harbour and getting drop calls. Talking to my neighbour next door where I can see him, drop calls. Now this has gone on too long, and they've used many excuses, such as the boosters on the boats going out to harbour. The boosters at the trailer park. Really, are we that naive? I don't think so.
Park's closed and so is the marina.
But what I'm going to say is that we need to take this to a higher level. Let's go to our MP. Our MHA has been involved in this because she has called me on a few occasions looking for updates. And we need to take this to the highest level, and if need be, push this to go right to the CRTC. Because they're accepting money from customers from a service that they're not providing 100% reliance. And this day and age, people use their phones and their devices more than anything. And when you're getting drop calls after drop calls, and I've tiptoed around the house, and I hate to be belaboring this and beating this to death, but when you got to stop, when you're talking to somebody, say, I missed you, lost you, okay, now I got you, and you're here in the middle of the living room, and you can't move, afraid you get a drop call. You can send, they just sent this contraption to Mars that took years to get there and landed right on the spot. And they can phone them. Right? But we can't seem to have a decent cell service. So it goes beyond this excuse that they say, well, we're not getting calls of complaints. Well, I don't accept that for 1 minute. And I think that needs to be blatantly said. They're only using that as an excuse to say, well, we can't really act on it because we're not getting the complaints. Well, I think that we're going to have to give consideration after Christmas, take this to a much higher level and put the pressure on. Because like I said, if that was in Halifax or in Toronto or somewhere like that where there was dead zones, you needn't worry. People wouldn't have to complain for months and months on end because it'll be fixed. Anyway, that's my little rant for this evening on that. My blood pressure goes up on that.
I just want to respond to the mayor with regards to, the cell phone service, and I know that's part of our committee, and, I'm sure that during our next meeting, we'll have a plan that we will present to council on how we're going to move forward with some of your suggestions, but we need to have a plan in place. We can't just, automatically just send something off, but we need to do our steps and have a plan in place, and I'm sure that we'll discuss that at our next meeting, and then we'll have something that we'll implement in the new year for sure to get the services that everyone deserves here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councillor Crowley, that's your update on communication, so you can get on your feet again now and pay some bills.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, corporate service and administration. Well, I'm not going to say when we met because we're meeting every week and sometimes twice a week. There's a lot on our agenda right now. We've had some donation requests, which we are responding to. So we've had some letters that have come in to us as CSA. So we are in response to those. Look for those. We are doing really well on our payments to date for our personal tax, business tax, fire tax, and water and sewer. So we are doing really well with our income and actually collection. We are working on our management agreement. So the CSA committee has been working very diligently, going down through line by line, item by item. We are working as per our instructions too from the operational review. So we are hearing from the public. We did hear from the public. We heard in that recommendations, and all of those have been followed. So we're working with input from the staff along with input from council to ensure that everyone is involved and that we are doing the best possible agreement for our town, including staff and councilors and everyone. So we are working diligently on that. We have our firemen's agreement. We are working on a separate agreement for that, again, taking into account our operational review. And they're very unique circumstances for our firefighters. So they would not have the same sort of agreement as our union and our management and everything like that. So we are working on all of that. And even though I'm going to be quick tonight, like public works and business and everything, our next meeting will be our budget. So you're going to hear a lot from me on the next meeting on December 19th. When we'll be finally ready to deliver that budget, which again, we have been working diligently on in light of all these agreements, in light of the operational review, in light of our past circumstances and our current and looking towards the future and ensuring that our public safety and our climate issues are taken into account. We're looking at things we've done, our issues that we had in the past that we're trying to resolve, and like I said, going forward. So hopefully that will come in, and we'll be meeting again with all of council very, very shortly to have our final recommendations for budget.
Perfect.
Councillor King, is there anything else you would like to add?
Covered all the bases.
Okay.
You gotta pay some bills.
Two, see? Being so short-winded, I thought I was done. Councillor King, I followed in your footsteps. We do actually have to pay that money that we're taking in. It goes right out the door again. Okay, be it resolved, those accounts tabled in the amount of $196,070.82, checks 45147 to 45220, and D3685 to D3721 be approved for payment from the general account. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Crowley, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion? If not,
General
all
accounts.
those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
And we have a healthy bank book balance of $1,508.20.
Well, we're at the end of the year and we're in the black, so
All is good.
it's all good. Okay, thank you for that update, Councillor Crowley, and paying the bills. So that is the agenda. Now we're in the new business, and I'll do the go-around, starting with Deputy Mayor Woodford.
No, nothing for me this evening.
Okay, Councillor King, you're good. Oh,
See, we got all this extra time to kill. No, I just got 2 points, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I wanted to acknowledge also the fact that with regards to November the 11th, the excellent turnout down at the War Memorial, even though the weather was miserable, actually was probably the biggest crowd that we've seen in some
biggest
time.
ever.
But I also wanted to acknowledge the cadets. The cadets put on a fabulous demonstration. The band, the two people that were looking after the wreaths as well, and also the vigil. So, I mean, everybody did a fantastic job, and it was great to see young people out there, and hopefully they'll keep it on going on in years and years to come, long after we're all gone. Right? But anyway, it was good to see. The last one, and I'm not going to get into too much detail with this one because we haven't briefed the rest of council on it yet, and that's myself and Councillor King had attended the MLL convention, 25th to the 28th of October in St. John's. It was an excellent convention. We got a lot of information, and but the two main takeaways for me, and I'm sure Councillor King would probably add to it as well, is that when you listen to, first of all, the presentations, they were all very well done, very professional, and very informative. But I think one of the most important places that we gather the information is sitting around having a coffee or sitting around having lunch with councillors and mayors and deputy mayors and town staff from all the other different communities. And then you realize, you know, we discuss a lot of things here in this room, but in every municipality across the island, in every council chamber just like this one, they also discuss some of the exact same things that we discuss. So we're not unique in any stretch of the imagination, but on the other side, we're good. We're in good shape. We do our business, we conduct business properly, and we have the best interests of the residents at heart, which is a very good thing. The other point that I want to bring up is the fact that when we went to the banquet, and when you walk around, you know, in the convention, there's probably about 500 or 600 people there, you know, but they're not all young people by no stretch. I think probably the two youngest people that were there was myself and Councillor King. Right? We felt almost out of place that we were so young and all the rest of them looked so old. But you know, but when you go, no, but all joking aside, you know, but when you have the banquet and you have, you know, people getting up and getting their 25, 30, 35. There was one gentleman there, he had a 40-year pin. Right? But when you talk to these people, you say, you know, why are you being on council for 35 years? The answer comes back is because nobody else wants to run, right? So, you know, I mean, we're no different. When we ran last year, well, not last year, because we've got 2 years punched now, 2 more to go before we get paroled. And but you know, there's 2,500 people here in Holyrood, and we never had enough people come forward to have well, we had an election for mayor, but we never had an election for council, but we have 2,500 people, right? So I think it's incumbent on everybody in the next 2 years to try to encourage more younger people to become involved with council, right? Because, I mean, we can't all stay here, even though, you know, Councillor King and I were probably the youngest two in here as well. But, you know, we need to encourage other people to become more involved in council, and the younger people are the key. So anyway, it was a great presentation, and I'm sure when we get a minute between now and Christmas, we've got lots of great information to pass on to the rest of council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Councillor Crowley.
You got me giggling, but in jest, I actually want a little bit more somber news that you triggered that time for me, that I did watch a news article on CBC this week of various, it was national news, that mayors and councillors have been resigning due to overextended and pressure and PTSD from dealing with extenuating circumstances and large disasters and things like that. So it is something to be cognizant of, you know, when you're putting yourself out there and you're in the middle of it, and it would be nice sometimes to have like extra people to rely on, but it was just, you said in the news. I wanted to thank the peacekeepers and peacemakers, past and present, for your service as Remembrance Day just passed. We had a couple of things happen in the town that we had the Spooktruncular, and myself and Deputy Mayor and CAO Marjorie Gibbons, and thanks to our Director Steve Martin, was up there as well, giving out treats, and it was a tremendous success. But we really want to extend a thank you to the local businesses in and around Holyrood CBS area, CBC. It was fantastic to see so many people come out. It was a beautiful night, cold, but beautiful. And it's really a testament to all our businesses who put in and do this and take hours and hours stuffing treat bags for our 750 little ones who come out and enjoy this in a safe environment, which is, you know, really key there, especially since it was so cold Halloween night. They might not have gotten out as far. And the other thing was the bonfire night. So thank you to Public Works. Sorry if you were going to mention it, but Public Works and volunteers, the fire department, for putting off our bonfire night. It was delayed a little bit due to weather, but it was a great turnout as well. So I just want to make sure, it's been a month since we met, so we had a lot to cover. But thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Crowley. Councillor King?
I'd like to say, as well as Bruce, that the convention was really great. You want me to stand?
Oh, you might.
What?
There you go.
Oh. Okay. I wanted to say the convention was really great, but what impressed me the most was the one on the fire department. And I'm telling you, the people of Holyrood don't realize how blessed they are to have such a great fire department. Because we got one of the best after listening to all those people with their complaints about the fire departments in other communities. And I did take pictures of all the slides we did that day, and I'm going to meet with Evan and we're going to discuss it all. Thank you.
Okay. Well said, Councillor King. Thank you very much. Councillor Windsor, you can wrap it up. Nothing. I got a feeling. I got a feeling the next meeting is going to be Councillor Windsor's. Okay, folks, thank you very much. That is the agenda. The date of the next meeting is December the 12th at 6 p.m. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please? Moved by Councillor Crowley, seconded by Councillor King. All those in favour, those against. Meeting stands adjourned.